Love. It doesn't begin with words. It begins with a feeling, so quiet, yet so powerful, that it slowly takes over everything. At first, you don't even notice it. It's just a glance, a moment, a random thought about someone. But then, that thought stays, and somehow, your world begins to change. The colors feel brighter, the silence feels louder, and your heart starts reacting to things it never did before. Psychology says this is just chemicals in your brain. But what they don't tell you is it doesn't feel like chemicals. It feels like magic. Always starts the same way, with a look. Just a few seconds, but your mind holds on to it. You don't know their story. You don't know their name. But something inside you says, there's something here. Psychology calls it attraction. But attraction isn't random. Your brain is searching for familiarity, for comfort, for something that feels like home. And sometimes, all it takes is one look to begin a story you never planned. And then, they enter your mind. Not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly. You start thinking about them at random times, while eating, while walking, even when you're trying to sleep. And the strange part? You don't try to stop it, because it feels good. Psychology calls this intrusive thinking driven by emotional interest. But to you, it just feels like they matter. Then comes the first conversation. Simple words, small talks. But somehow, they feel important. A hello feels like something more. A good night feels personal. Psychology explains when someone gives you attention, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical linked to pleasure. And just like that, you don't just enjoy talking to them, you start needing it. Then comes the waiting. The silence between messages starts feeling heavy. You check your phone again and again, not because you're bored, but because you're hoping to see their name. Psychology calls this a dopamine loop. The uncertainty makes it stronger, because your brain starts chasing the reward, and without realizing, you become emotionally dependent. Nights become different, longer, deeper, more emotional. Late night conversations have a strange power. You talk about life, dreams, fears, and slowly you start attaching meaning to everything. Psychology explains, at night, your brain is more emotional than logical, which means you feel more and think less. And that's where attachment grows the fastest. Then comes overthinking. Small things start feeling big. A delayed reply, a dry message, and suddenly your mind starts creating stories. Did I say something wrong? Are they losing interest? Psychology says when you care deeply, your brain tries to protect you, but instead it creates fear, and that fear slowly steals your peace. Slowly, your world begins to shrink. Friends feel distant, hobbies feel meaningless, because your focus is on one person. Psychology calls this emotional prioritization, but in reality, it's dependency. Your happiness starts depending on them, and without noticing, you give them power over your emotions. Then comes conflict, because where there is attachment, there is fear. Fear of losing, fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough. And that fear turns small misunderstandings into emotional storms. Psychology explains you're not reacting to the situation, you're reacting to the fear behind it. And sometimes it starts to hurt. You wait, you try, you explain, but something feels off, like you're giving more than you're receiving. Psychology says when effort is not equal, pain begins. And the hardest part? You still don't want to let go. You go back to old messages, reading conversations that once made you smile. Now, They just remind you of what you lost. Psychology explains the brain romanticizes the past, making it seem better than it really was. And that's why moving on feels impossible. You look at yourself and realize you've changed. You're not the same person anymore. You feel deeper, think more, hurt easier. Psychology says love reshapes you. It teaches you things you never asked to learn. You type a message, then delete it, because now you're scared. Scared of saying too much, scared of caring too much. Psychology explains when you fear losing someone, you start hiding your true self, and slowly you lose who you really are. And then, one day, you pause, you breathe, and you realize love isn't just about them, it's about you, your worth, your peace, your identity. Psychology teaches us sometimes love doesn't come to stay, sometimes it comes to teach.